Hello, my name is Madeline. I am a pattern designer and today I'm going to show you how to recreate this blouse. This blouse is modeled after my Beth Blouse sewing pattern, which is available on my shop. I'll link it below. Normally the blouse usually has the collar pieces. Those are just optional, of course, and so if you don't do page 22 through 24 and cut out the collar pieces, you could make this blouse without the drawstring as well, and that's the Beth Blouse. You wouldn't need to do any additional hacking. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do this drawstring and also remind you of what steps to not do the collar. So if you are interested in just learning how to do this channel with the bow, but maybe you don't have the Beth Blouse or you want to do it on another blouse, that would also work. You could do it additionally. I have two other sewing patterns on my shop that would be perfect for this hack as well. The Rosamond blouse, which you guys love, and then also my Rada blouse. So you could take this skill, this hack video, and you could apply it to many other patterns of your choice, but I specifically chose my Beth Blouse because I had a very strong vision for this of really wanting this peplum blouse and the scalloped ruffles right here, and then I also did scallops. You can see I also did scallops on the hem of this blouse. So if you have the Beth Blouse pattern or another blouse pattern, go ahead and grab that. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to do this video. This is gonna be a really quick video because I really just followed the instructions almost 100% until the end for this sewing pattern. So I made my Beth Blouse as is. I omitted pages 22 through 24, which are all about how to do the collar, and I just didn't add the collar to this pattern, but I made the Beth Blouse completely normal how it's supposed to be, all the way until I did the buttons. I did the buttons just slightly closer together so that I had 6 buttons instead of 5, and then I did on the 5th button, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 5th button, that's where I did the drawstring channel because that was where I was gonna hit my natural waist. And so we're gonna go ahead, make your blouse as is. I even did the hem first, so you can completely finish your blouse if it has a loose silhouette. And then you can meet me at this video and I will show you how to make the drawstring channel. I will teach you how to make the tie and how to get it from the inside to the outside, because you can see, I lost my thing. You can see this channel is on the inside. The drawstring comes through buttonholes, and we are going to go ahead and make this blouse. It's such a simple hack with a really effective finish. I just think that it is so beautiful. I thought I'd mention really quickly as well, this is the fabric that I used for this video. This is a linen rayon from the Linen Lab. I will link it below. I normally don't use rayon very often, but when this came in, I actually really fell in love with it. It's got a really good drape, but without being too drapey. I think that's partially why I don't like rayon, is the drape is sometimes a little too drapey. But for this, it felt like the perfect fabric. I would highly recommend using a lightweight fabric for this hack. If it's too bulky, you're gonna have a hard time with the channel not gathering properly. So I'd get a lightweight fabric. This is a linen rayon blend. I think it's really, really beautiful. It's got this subtle, like natural coloring coming throughout it. Highly recommend. So I will link that below if you want to make the exact same blouse or if you're looking for a good lightweight drapey fabric. This is a good one. All right, so go ahead and grab your pattern of choice. If you want to make it yours just like mine, grab the Beth Blouse. You're going to make the entire blouse. Of course, if you're using the Beth Blouse, omit page 22 through 24, but you're going to make the entire thing until you get to the buttons, and you can go ahead and even do the hem. In fact, I encourage you to. So like finish everything but the buttons and buttonholes and meet me at the sewing machine and I'll show you what to do next. I have cut out all of my pattern pieces. You can see that I did not cut out my collar pieces. Of course, you could still do this hack with the collar piece. I chose to omit that, but for this specific blouse, I did not. So I just didn't cut out those extra pieces, but I did cut everything else out. I've got my instructions open, so whatever blouse you are making, grab those instructions. You can see right here on pages 22 through 24, these are all about the collar pieces, right? So you're going to completely skip those. But once you get to page 25 in the instructions, you are going to need to pay attention to that because that has all of the info that you're going to need for the placket. Once we're back together on page 25, I figured I'd show you the process of adding the placket without the collar. It's exactly the same, you just don't have the collar sandwiched in there, but I'm lining up my placket pieces down the center front. I did add interfacing to this fabric. It's optional in the pattern, but I felt because it was such a drapey fabric that having interfacing would be nice. I'm really happy with that decision. And once you got the placket pinned in, you're going to go ahead and add the bias binding on top. This fabric was such a dream to add bias binding to because, like I said, it just has a really great drape, but it also holds its structure at the same time because of that linen. Anyway, I really, really loved how this looked going all the way around. And I'm just doing it the exact same way that the pattern recommends. There's just no collar there. So the placket's pinned and basted at the top, and then the collar is going all the way around. Okay, I started on the bias binding, and then I went ahead and folded it over. I flipped everything right side out, and now I'm just edge stitching the placket and binding in place. You can see it obviously still needs to be ironed. And then that's what it's going to look like once I add my sleeves. So I've done that. Now what we're going to do, this is the whole tutorial that we're really focusing on. I decided that 6 buttons would look better. So I remeasured everything and it was about 3 inches apart for each button if you're wanting to do the same thing as me. And then the second to bottom button is where I wanted my drawstring to be, just to make it fit on my natural waist. You may want to remeasure yourself, but every 3 inches for me, or that would be every like 7.5 centimeters. That is how much you're going to want to do for each button. Then you're going to measure the circumference of the bodice at where your second button goes. You can see where I'm pointing. I realized that my second button was 7 inches up from the bottom of my hem, so I'm marking that on my side seams and I'm just checking the circumference and the total of that. Mine was 46 inches and I'm a size 3. And so I decided to use this little formula over here. So measure the circumference of your bodice at the second to last button. Mine was 46 inches, which is 117 centimeters. And then cut out a strip of fabric that is about 1 inch wide. And then you do that. So it's 1 inch wide by 46. This is my strip. And then you need to cut out a second strip of fabric that is the same thing. So it is 1 inch wide or 2.5 centimeters, 2.6 centimeters. And then you need to add about 30 inches, or that's about 75. Let's check that. That's about 76 centimeters. Once you've done that, you're gonna have strip number 1, that is the circumference, and then strip number 2, that is the circumference plus 30 inches or 76 centimeters. That will equal about 1 inch wide by 76 inches or 193 centimeters. The reason you're cutting out 2 strips, so one will be your drawstring, the one that is your circumference, that will be the drawstring, that will be the channel for the drawstring. The second one will be the drawstring that you'll be tying around your waist, and you will want that extra length there for the bow. So now that you've got those strips, you're going to take those to the ironing board and you're going to fold them into fourths. So you're going to fold it in about 1 centimeter or in half. See how I'm doing that right there? And then I ironed that flat and folded again for the drawstring. And I've taken that and folded it so it's gotten folded into 4 pieces. So I folded it in half and then folded in those edges. And what I'm doing with that now is I'm going to edge stitch along the folded edge over at the sewing machine. I folded those little ends in first to have a clean finish. You can do that, you can skip it, it's up to you. It does make it a little bit bulky to start, but I do recommend doing it if you can. So I kind of just glided that through my machine and came out, and now there's my beautiful drawstring. Then I took my other pattern pieces and I turned them inside out, because I'm putting the channel through the bodice and I'm going to be doing that 7 inches from the bottom of the bodice. So I'm kind of using my little measurement guide right here, right? And I have my channel. So my channel is only, the edges are folded in towards the middle, but I haven't folded it again. Now I'm going to give a little bit of space from the edge of the placket. I'm going to leave like half an inch right there because I'm going to need to put a buttonhole between where that drawstring channel ends and where the placket begins. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to measure around the whole bodice. I'll be going 7 inches from the bottom, like I mentioned, because that's where my button is, and I just do that evenly across the whole bottom. Now that means that the channel might not be exactly straight. It may curve just a little bit, and that's okay because your hem is curved slightly. And if you want it to line up with the hem better, I would recommend lining it up from the bottom. That's personal choice there, but I found that that was helpful. So I pinned all the way around, and I had cut a little bit of extra fabric just to be sure. I don't think that's a bad thing to cut a little bit of extra. And then I'm folding in that little end right there, like I said, about half an inch from the placket, because we're going to need a little bit of space right there to show where our buttonhole will be. Being really good. And I make sure that these are this lined up on the front so that they do not feel off-centered. So take it to your machine and stitch down those folded edges. You can see I've now stitched those down, and now I have a drawstring channel. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my hem. You could have already done it first. In retrospect, I wish that I would have done it first, but this is what I really did. So I am showing you. I chose to do the scalloped stitch, and then you just have to like manually trim it. So you try not to get into the stitches. You just get as close as you can. It's pretty methodical. I usually just throw on a movie, and like this is my hand stitching time. You can see that I haven't even finished slip stitching the inside of my sleeves. So those are still pinned because I knew I was going to be sitting down and just using my time to trim and do hand sewing. So I was going to do all of this at the end. But now I have my bodice. So I added my buttonholes. I added them to the placket, and then you just add an additional buttonhole next to the drawstring. And you're going to cut that open because what's going to happen is you're going to pull your drawstring through the drawstring channel, and then you pull it through that additional buttonhole right here that we've added. So I use a safety pin, and I go from the right side through to the wrong side, and then I go through the drawstring channel. And this takes a little bit of time, of course, because it's a little snug and there's fabric and just takes a minute. But once you get all the way through, it's really quite simple. Going over the seam allowances sometimes takes a minute, but you should make it to the end at the very end. Using a safety pin is my favorite method. Now, once you've done that, you're going to pull it through the buttonhole to the right side again, and voila, you now have a drawstring. I needed to add my buttons still, of course, but you can kind of see what's going on there. I started to pull it through, and now because this isn't elasticated, you are going to want to make sure that you just kind of play with it on your own and decide how much you want it gathered, how much you want to pull it in. I found that I like it being a little bit tighter. The tighter, the harder it will be to like lift your arms because it won't move above your rib cage. So just, you can kind of adjust to your preference. There's a lot of ease at the waist, so you could just pull it in a little bit, have it looser. It's totally up to you. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and that you learned something new and that you can apply this to future makes, and now you know how to add a drawstring with the drawstring channel.